Hey there, my name is Ethan Lowry. I am a wedding and commercial photographer based here in Auckland, New Zealand. Today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. It's not gear related, it's not really photography related, it's more a story of me, which might turn some people off and might turn some people on. Don't know, but we'll figure it out. We'll see how the views go. I wanted to, unpack my journey in photography, videography, because it's probably a different one. And I noticed in the creative space, not a whole lot of people talk about how they got from where they were to where they are now. So I wanted to unpack that in my instance at least, and maybe give people some encouragement, maybe a little bit of advice. The advice has probably been given before, but I just want to say it from my own perspective because I know it works. Yeah, so without further ado, let's kick in. So before we go way back, let's just establish where I'm at today, maybe. So today, the year 2025, I am a wedding and commercial photographer, like I said. I shoot about 30 weddings a year, do about 10 to 15 commercial projects, and then a few other little bits here and there. I also currently work 3 days a week for a really small agency doing a mix of project management and photo and video work. So that gives me a bit of stability throughout the week and a bit of predictability in terms of income. And then my wedding and commercial photography and video on top of that. If we're looking at overall revenue mix, it's probably 30-40% of my 3 day a week gig. And then 60 to 70% or whatever the balance of that is my freelance photo and video work. I know some folks really want to go all in on content creation or freelancing or whatever else, but I have a wife, a kid, a dog, a mortgage, other things like that. So I actually quite like a bit of predictability. I think it can be quite sensible to have at least some sort of stable, regular income. I don't think there's any shame in having a regular stream of work come in, even if you could take that same amount of time and maximize it somewhere else. I think the predictability really works for some people, and maybe doesn't work as well for others. So now that we've kind of got where I'm at today out of the way, let's backtrack a bit. As you might hear from my accent, which is probably a little bit funky, I'm originally from the US. I've been in New Zealand now for coming up on 10 years. In 2 weeks' time, it'll be my 10-year anniversary of being in New Zealand. So I grew up in Northwest Arkansas, did all of my schooling there, went to university over there, got a degree in biomedical engineering, which is obviously totally different from what I'm doing now. I think that's a pretty common thing though. A lot of people go to school for something and then work well outside of that, or something adjacent. Obviously I'm way off of that now, but quite happy with that, to be fair. While I was studying, I met my wife, Tori, who's from New Zealand. We met through, she was over in the States doing a camp counselor exchange program. We met through a mutual friend, started dating, and we moved back and forth a couple times. At this stage, I was really interested in photography, but had never taken a single photography class. Still haven't to this day. So I have no formal education or training in photography or videography. Everything that I know, I've kind of learned from other people, learned online, or just made up along the way, because it's also a totally valid approach. So after I graduated, I moved to New Zealand, I think when I was 22 years old. So the easiest way for me to move over here was to continue to study. So at that point, I started a PhD at the University of Auckland over here in molecular medicine, which is a fancy way of saying microbiology. And in those early days of study, I guess I wanted some sort of creative outlet. I really wanted to buy a new camera. I had a Nikon D700 at the time, but wanted to upgrade that to something newer. So I ended up picking up a Nikon D750 from one of the local camera shops, Auckland Camera. It was there that I met my buddy Chris. He was working at the camera shop at the time while he was running his wedding photography business. And he posed to me when I bought it, when I told him I wanted to actually do something with photography on the side, go out and shoot and show me some work, and I'm looking for a second shooter, so if your stuff is up to scratch, then we can do something. So I shot my first wedding for one of my for one of Tori's friends and showed him those images, and he was like, yep, sweet, let's go, let's do it. And I think that first summer we shot about 30 weddings together. All his clients, all his weddings, but I second shot a lot for him. I learned a whole lot. I think I shot maybe 5 weddings of my own as well, just close friends, family, things like that. And I really fell in love with wedding photography and with creating. And then a couple years later, when I was getting toward the end of the PhD, Tori and I got married. We got pregnant with my son, Drew, who's now 5 years old. My PhD stipend was running out, and I needed to make a decision. I was about to be a dad. I was about to not have any money coming in from the university, and I needed a way to pay for life, because life here in New Zealand is very expensive. So I decided to drop out of my PhD, knowing that I didn't really want to work in the field moving forward. But I dropped out of that and started working in a small advertising agency. It's a really interesting combination of creative strategy and experimentation, which I thought was really cool. So then I worked in ad agencies for about 4 years post-PhD, and all the while running my wedding photography business. Some years were up, some years were down. Obviously we had COVID about 5 years ago now. That changed the game significantly. Some years were super slow, others were crazy as people rebounded. So working in an agency is a lot of fun. There's a lot of great people. It's a very fast-paced environment. Every day is different. However, it is very all-consuming. It really requires all of you. And it got to a point where I couldn't balance my professional life in that setting and my own photography stuff. And you know, being a dad of a young kid, yeah, there was just a lot. Something had to give. So I left the big agency and got a role at a smaller agency, just 3 days a week. I do a bit of strategy, implementation, photo, and a video. It's far more flexible, far more suitable for a busy dad who's also running another business. So that's been really good. So I've been doing that for almost 2 years now. It's definitely a whole different, lifestyle, which is awesome. I've got a lot more time for me, more time for personal projects, more time to do YouTube and videos like this, and of course more time for my family, which is super important. I appreciate all of these random ups and downs and twists and turns, because without meeting my wife, I wouldn't be here in New Zealand. Without starting my PhD and being creatively, I guess, frustrated, I'm not sure if I would have picked up a camera and started shooting weddings. If I hadn't gone to Auckland Camera and met my buddy Chris, I think my trajectory through the wedding industry would have been very different. And then if I hadn't worked in ad agencies for years, I wouldn't have the relationships that I have now that allow me to get a bunch of commercial work. I wouldn't have the business acumen and the strategy that allows me to run a business and forecast properly. There's so many skills that I've learned at every twist and turn that have kind of brought me to where I am today. And I think if I had seen where I am today 10 years ago and said, plot a course there, it wouldn't have been the same course that I took. And I'm not sure what I would have done to get here, but it would have been very different. So I have a lot of gratitude for the journey itself and the twists and the turns. And if I were to give advice to someone who wants to go out on their own, create, take charge of their own life, it'd be these 3 things. Number 1, take risks, but don't be dumb. You can get yourself in a real bind real quick by not having a backup plan, not having a fail-safe, and not being properly prepared when something goes wrong. Assess risks and make decisions that you're comfortable with making. 2, connect with people. Obviously, relationships are absolutely everything. I could not count the number of wedding and commercial referrals I get from past friends, whether it's friends from university days, friends from agency days, or my wedding photography and videography network. Business is pretty fucking hard when you're doing it on your own. And when you have a wider network, the opportunity for referrals is massive. And 3, persist. This shit doesn't happen overnight. This is not an easy game to play. It requires long hours, trying new things, putting yourself out there. And sometimes it's a slog. And that's the case with any job. That's the case with any business. Whether you're working for someone else or you're working for yourself, sometimes work is work. And it's not always glamorous, and that's okay. I think it's probably worth noting I'm 32 years old and kind of only just getting my shit together, just really finding my feet. And you know, I'll probably check back in 10 years from now and I'll say, I'm 42 years old and I'm only finding my feet, only getting my shit together now. And I think that's probably fine. I think at most stages in life you think you've got things figured out and you really don't. I'm not sure if anyone ever has anything figured out, even though it might appear like it. So yeah, life is pretty crazy. Everyone has their own unique story and approach and journey to get where they are now and where they want to go. There's no secret recipe. There's no shortcuts really. You kind of just have to fight to get to where you want to go. Take the side quests, take the opportunities that come up, and give it a crack. So just get after it. So I'm hoping this video has encouraged at least one person to kind of go out there, get after it, or keep going. I think that's pretty much it. And we got through the whole thing without talking about any camera stuff, which is awesome. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to subscribe, you can do that somewhere down here, up here, over there, wherever. And I'll see you in the next video.